Hello friends, this is Durga again from ITversity, a one-stop shop to learn all the technologies. So as part of this video, we will try to compute the revenue and also count of orders for each day. So first thing we need to understand is the way data is represented. So if you see the program, we have read the data, we have got the completed orders, then we extracted the required fields, then we computed the revenue for each order using order items, and then we have joined orders with order items. Now we will try to understand how the data is represented. Data have the order ID, and then in a nested tuple on the joined RDD, we have order date and order revenue. And from this data set, first we need to discard order ID. We don't need order ID anymore. We just need the date and all the revenues under each date as part of the data set to compute the total revenue and total number of orders. So first we need to apply a transformation to discard order ID and extract only order date and order revenue. And for that we can use the map function. The code snippet is already available here. You can copy paste this one. Okay, now you can actually so before getting into the preview, let's understand what we are trying to do. So again we are using the map function. If you are familiar, if you remember the map function takes one record as the input and and it will emit one transformed record as output. So the for each iteration, the input for the map function will be record like this, and from this we want to discard order ID and we want to get only the second element in the tuple, which is order date and order revenue. So here rec represents the entire record and we want to get only the date and revenue. So tuples, when it comes to tuple, I will show from the Scala itself. Let's say name it as t itself, and then let me name it as 1, 2. Okay, now the tuple is created. If you define values in circular braces, it will be considered as tuple. The data type will be inherited automatically. You can type t and hit enter. You can see it is nothing but a type of tuple. And if you want to access the data, you can say t dot underscore 1 to access the first element and t dot underscore 2 to access the second element. Okay, so similar is the case here. If I say rec dot underscore 1, I'll get order ID. If I say rec dot underscore 2, I'll get this one. Either I can use directly rec dot underscore 2, or if you want to use, if you want to extract elements individually, then you have to showcase like this. You have to do like this: rec dot underscore 2 dot underscore 1, which will give the order date, and rec dot underscore 2 dot underscore 2, which will get the revenue. Okay, in this case, because the values are in proper order, we can also say like this: rec dot underscore 2 and hit enter. Okay, and the output you can see is of type tuple. You can validate by saying orders join map dot take of 10 dot for each println. You can see now we have order date and order revenue. So either you can do it the way I have done. This is more important because in most of the cases we might have to change the order also. So you should be familiar about how to access the elements in the nested tuples. So this is how you can access each individual element in the nested tuple. Rec dot underscore 2 give the second element. Dot underscore 1 will give the first element of the second element in the main tuple, and rec dot underscore 2 dot underscore 2 give the second element of the second element in our nested tuple. That being said, now we have the order date and revenue. Using this, we have to compute two things. One is total revenue for each date, and the second one is total number of orders for each day. and also we can actually get the count on this orders join map dot count. You can see there are 18,965 orders with revenue which is passed as input after join, and the output also 18,965 because we are just applying the map function. Each record will be transformed to some other record, one input record, one output record, so the count will match with orders join count. Okay, now we will see the major portion of this program, which is to use aggregate by key. So aggregate by key takes 3 parameters. Okay, if you go to the documentation, if you click on the transformations on the index and scroll down a little bit, you can see aggregate by key takes 3 parameters. The first one in the first circular brackets, which is nothing but initialization, and the second one takes 2 mandatory parameters and 1 optional parameter. So the 2 mandatory parameters are sequence operator or combiner logic, combiner op or combiner operator or reducer logic. So the terminology in Spark is little bit different from the MapReduce. The combiner logic will be given here, and the reducer logic will be given here. Okay, and typically when the results are additive, then we will use the combiner as well as reducer. We should be able to compute the final results with the intermediate values, and if the logic to compute the intermediate values is little bit different from the from computing the final values, then we have to use the aggregate by key. And when called on a dataset of KV, so here our dataset is of type KV. So when called on this dataset of KV pairs, returns a dataset of KU pairs where the values for each key are aggregated using the given combine function and a neutral 0 value. Allows an aggregated value type that is different than the input value type while avoiding unnecessary allocations. Like in group by key, the number of reduced tasks is configurable through an optional second argument. So this one is an optional argument. It's actually third argument. You can tweak the number of reducer tasks if you want using aggregate by key. Anyway, we will not be covering that at this time. But main thing is you need to understand the relevance of these two. Okay, and they are explaining it here. Here they are saying what the input dataset is of type KV pairs and output dataset is of type KU pairs. So the data type can be different, and also the combine function and the reduce function can be different, even though they are not defined the logic or defined the rationale behind aggregate by key effectively. That's what it is. Okay, it allows an aggregated value type that is different than the input value type. As part of the last video, I have covered briefly about the reduce by key and aggregate by key. In that, I told you 2 scenarios. The first scenario is the combiner logic and the reducer logic might be slightly different, and also even if it is same, if the if the input value type to the aggregate function is different from the output value type, even then we have to use aggregate by key only. We cannot use reduce by key. Okay, so in this case, first let us see both the scenarios. The first scenario is the input value type and output value type. Our input value type is nothing but float, which is just a revenue. But output value, we want two things. One is the total revenue and also the total number of orders for each day. So we want a tuple. Okay, instead of just having float, which is input value type, we want to have a tuple of float and integer. The float one will have the total revenue for each day, and the integer 1 will have the total number of orders. So the first one itself is broken here, and hence we have to use aggregate by key only. And as part of that, as we have only revenue, there should be some other way to compute the total number of orders. Okay, so that's why we have to have this different logic for the combiner than the reducer. So let's see it in action, then I will explain. Okay, so the first parameter is given as part of the first circular brackets. It is used for the initialization. So in this case, the initialization should be based on the output type. Our output type is of type float and integer. Hence we are initializing like this. It's a tuple with the float as first element and integer as second element. Hence we are defining the first parameter like this. I am copy pasting this one. Okay, once we initialize, now we have to define the combiner logic. So initialization is done here. We have closed the bracket also, and then we have started the second bracket. It's the syntax in Scala. We cannot avoid that. And then we have to pass accumulator and value. Okay, here the accumulator is of type this one, whereas value is of type float, which is from our orders join dataset. Sorry, orders join map dataset, which we have executed already here. Okay, so as the value is of type float and accumulator is of type tuple. Okay, for the first element of the tuple in the accumulator, I want to add revenue. Okay, and I have to do it in the circular brackets because the output also is of type tuple. And the second element we can access like this, and I want to add now a value 1 because we just want to get the number of orders for each day. Already the orders are unique in our dataset, hence we can directly add +1 to the second element of our accumulator tuple, and that's it. That's the logic we have to implement. And then as part of the second parameter, we will give total 1 comma total 2. Both are of type tuples in this case. Okay, in the combiner logic, only the accumulator is of type tuple, but the value is of type whatever input value type is. Whereas in the reducer logic, both the parameters which are being passed are from the combiner. Okay, the second parameter is from the output from the combiner, and the first parameter is accumulator. Okay, and both will be of type tuples only. Hence, we have to add first element of the tuple with first tuple with first element of the second tuple, and then second element of the first tuple with second element of the second tuple. Okay, and then we can close the bracket. We have to close the aggregate by key bracket and hit enter. Now the revenue per day is of type RDD, which have the tuples, elements of type tuples, and the first element in the tuple is nothing but date, and the second element of the tuple is nothing but the total revenue and total number of orders. We can preview the data by saying revenue per day dot take of 10 dot for each println. Okay, so we got the total revenue for each day and total number of orders. We have to just divide the revenue by the number of orders to get the final results, and we will see that, and also we will see how to round these values. Okay, but before closing this session, let us copy paste the code snippets which are already tested, which discard order ID and get order date and order revenue, and also the aggregate by key function, which will get the total revenue as well as total number of orders for each day. So the logic is saved here, and then we will discuss further steps as part of the next videos. That being said, I hope you're enjoying the content. If you like this video, please click on the like button. If you want to provide the feedback, please use the comment section of the video. If you want to give the rating, please give me the full rating. If you think otherwise, please raise the concern so that I can work on that at least as part of the future videos, so that my content will be improved over time. That being said, thank you. Bye.